left, right.
Yo, what is up? Thank you for joining us for this exciting episode. This is actually one of my favorite episodes so far. Prostitution is a very interesting topic. Come to find out, I listened to a little podcast. I think it was This American Life, but it was definitely one of the NPR series. And got James and I talking. So we're sharing our discussion with you during this episode. Enjoy it. Let me know what you think about prostitution and about guns. And I'll see you on the other end. This is SipTalk. Grab a drink and enjoy.
Of course, it's Philly.
Cheers.
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 Well, if you're just tuning in, this is episode 115 of SipTalk. Today, we are talking about guns and prostitutes. On that note, what are you drinking down there? And
I have the last bit of my boxed wine, and if that runs out, I've got some Cutty Shark.
Nice. All right. Stepping it up in the beer game.
Yeah, I've been drinking plenty of beer over the last couple of days, so I kind of want to back off of it for right now.
Fair enough. Hi, Giovanni in Brazil. All right, I need a drink. I'm severely dehydrated. Long train ride. Trains were super delayed. I guess there was a train broken down somewhere under the Hudson River, I'm guessing. And just massive delays. And then there was a big storm, which most of it I missed. But
We're getting a tropical storm tomorrow.
I hear there's definitely a storm. All I hear is thunder, so I may lose power. To light some candles and not be streaming live.
So Rosh is asking a question relevant to our topic already. Do prostitutes have guns?
Well,
and my answer would be the smart ones do.
Let's back up a little bit though. How was your 4th of July weekend? You said you've been drinking a lot of beer. You got some friends in town.
Yeah. 4th of July, we just hung out at my place and drank, played some video games, played some pool, caught up.
Barbecue, because that's
oh yeah we went to my buddy's place and had some barbecue and hung out with his roommate and his family and friends, and then yesterday played some mini golf and went out to some bars. Today we went to the beach, might go to some bars later on tonight.
Nice. Did you because you got the time off, you light up your own grill?
No, I haven't. We might grill sometime between now and when Kevin and Andrew leave, but haven't fired up this grill yet.
You got it.
Well, we did it once when we first bought it, but we haven't, like, in the last couple of days.
Did we get into the propane topic?
Charcoal versus propane
versus natural gas, which is always a good one there. Did we talk about that when we talked about grilling?
Nope.
I don't think we did. I don't even think we brought it up.
Thank you, Shahira Baba, for the coloration joke. Yeah, I'm just embarrassed to be around Justin.
That can happen. That can happen. So I like propane. You can grill breakfast, lunch, and dinner on propane. You have natural gas line to your grill. You can grill breakfast, lunch, and dinner endlessly because you don't have to stop when you run out of propane. James, I know, is more of a purist, more of someone to savor the taste of the fuel in his food, or not to savor the taste of the fuel in his food. And James, you're a charcoal guy, right?
So charcoal, I think everyone agrees, imparts better flavor because you get the smokiness and everything out of it. But there's something to be said for the convenience of propane or natural gas. So I've got a charcoal grill here, but I don't use it very often because it takes a while to get going and everything. Yep. Whereas I'd probably use a propane grill more, but I would argue that the product would suffer.
We got a comment from 5 Mil. Would smoke forever.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely the propane is not the best option, but it is the most convenient. We cooked out at Adam's house over the 4th of July weekend. George came with little bachelor party. We actually we were just chilling at the house one morning, eating some breakfast, nursing a hangover, and we saw in their newspaper all these flyers for the 4th of July grocery store sales, and not one really to look through the flyers and shop that way, but
No, I remember a certain friend of ours would like take the price chopper weekly.
and circle him for his mom when he was a kid. Yeah, this is the ice cream I want. These are the chips I want. But we found a good deal on what do you call them? Tomahawk steaks. Man, I'm a big ribeye fan. We ended up getting 4 giant I mean, I don't know what giant for tomahawk steak is, but they were big fucking steaks, BFSs, and they were like 3 pounds plus each. And we grilled the hell out of those.
It's a lot of meat.
That's a lot of damn meat. Yeah. So that was a really nice meal on Sunday. We didn't drink too much during the day, but I opened a little bottle of mezcal beforehand just to make people a little bit hungry. I think, I don't know, I feel like you get a little pre-dinner drink, it piques your appetite a little bit. So we had some mezcal margaritas and some just straight up mezcal shots. So those were very nice. And a lot of people saw them online. Got a lot of comments on these steaks. And I asked people what their favorite barbecue food was. So there was a handful of top answers, and some.
I'm guessing burgers came in at number 1.
I'll read you the answers. I thought I'd share them. I thought it was nice enough. People are commenting. I'd share. Actually, the one I got the most was booze. So
yeah, grilled booze.
Well, barbecue foods. I think booze is important to have at a
soup of the day, whiskey.
So, and I'll read out a few of them, and we see what comes out on top. Steak, watermelon, and brats. We didn't even talk about watermelon.
Watermelon was so good.
Watermelon is great.
You know, like those old cartoons where like whenever they eat like a food or something, it just has like this satisfying crunch. That's watermelon. Watermelon is the food that you dream of in cartoons.
I don't dream in cartoons very often.
Well, no. Like if you watch cartoons, like the food that they have in cartoons always looks perfect and good.
That is
like,
watermelon.
So like it's the food that you dream of. What is the food that you dream of? Watermelon.
All right. So let me just give some credit here. We got Annabelle steak, Gabatorch, watermelon brats, Love All You Are steak, Beach Bella chicken with barbecue sauce and pasta salad, Elena ribs, Doria ribeye, Gilberto the same like yours barbecue, that piece of steak that you have right now. We got hamburgers, and then I'm sorry, hamburgers are from Aspire. IC33. It would be lamb chops for sure. You know, it never occurred to me to grill lamb chops.
Seems like steaks are the winner here, though.
Steaks seem, and then Debbie steaks, Angeli rib, Arts steak. Let's see, and then we got another ribs, but the classic burger is always great. And all right, then I got some duplicates, but yeah, it sounds like steak might have been the winner on that one. But these tomahawk steaks were giant, and they were phenomenal. Luckily, we were cooking on a big enough grill that they could all fit in, and we cooked them. They actually took about 45 minutes from start to finish and came out like perfectly medium rare, not too medium, like just the perfect cook on those. So I was really happy with that.
You were talking about how there's a like quality versus convenience thing, and I think that really that'll parlay us into our main topic for tonight, which is prostitution.
Hang on, I'm not done with it. I'm not done with that though.
It's not the best option, but it's also the most convenient.
Well, exactly. That is a good parlay into that. What I want to bring up first, because we got to talk about laws a little bit when we start talking about prostitution and guns. But I recently learned, and this goes to my theory that in 50 years we're all going to be vegetarians. Certain parts of the UK are banning boiling live lobsters.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on that?
I have no opinion.
You have no opinion?
Because
you don't like seafood, but you don't like seafood. But you can have an opinion on that whole concept.
Well, yeah, it's probably, when you think about it, not the most humane way. Like, Like you could just take a knife and just like send it through the lobster's brain so it's dead and then drop it in, and it's not going to have any effect whatsoever on the quality of the food. You shouldn't be eating lobster regardless, but if you're
Uh,
going to make a poor decision, at least make a poor decision that doesn't cause something to suffer
well,
unnecessarily.
this is a European plan to boost the welfare of crustaceans and mollusks. But I really think
How could you look at them and just not think that they're sea bugs? It's bug meat.
I've
Look
eaten
at shrimp;
crickets.
they're bugs. Look.
No, they are. Like if you want to correlate that to its direct, like land dwelling animal, it would definitely be
Yo,
bugs.
there's things called amphibopods. So a couple weeks ago, we got rain really hard for like 3 or 4 days straight. We got a lot of rain, and I go into my garage, and there's a whole bunch of dead bugs on the ground, and they all look like mini shrimp. I'm like, what the hell happened here? So I looked it up. I was like, do I have a problem where I need to get like pest control to deal with my house? And apparently, they're called land shrimp. So like they live in your yard or whatever, and they like want a moist environment. But if it gets too wet, then they'll leave the yard and look for something drier. And so like it's really common for them to just go into garages and then die en masse. Um, and so I was like, all right, it's not a big deal. They just came from the yard, but they looked exactly like shrimp, just tiny. And
Wow.
so this is a hill that I will die on. If you are willing to eat crustaceans but not bugs, then you're a hypocrite.
If the bugs are prepared right, just I probably wouldn't eat a
Would
raw
you eat a
shrimp.
cicada?
Um, I might be open to that. I've seen some videos on like TikTok and Instagram of people cooking cicadas. I have a bag of crickets when usually when I break out the mezcal. This is after being in Mexico in Tulum last fall, and they just gave us crickets with the dish. I was like, oh shit, these are good, and I was just drunk enough to try them. So now I just ordered a bag of crickets, and whenever we serve tequila or mezcal, I break out the crickets, and they are good. People like
So
them.
so whenever I'm up in New York and we're drinking mezcal, don't bother offering me crickets.
Dude, I think you're gonna like them for real.
The answer is no.
But
The answer is no right
the
now, and
point,
it's going to continue to be no.
the point that I'm making is, if we're killing crickets and cockroaches, but now we're not killing lobsters and shrimp.
Well, are we boiling the crickets alive?
I mean, I don't think you're killing them at some point. Are you going to catch each cricket and individually stick a pin in its brain?
I have no idea.
But
I'm not the one eating the crickets.
this goes to my point that what I was saying the other day is that I feel like in 50 years, there are things that we did 50 years ago that we look back on and say that was so wrong. And they're like, well, back at the time, it wasn't wrong. It was kind of commonly acceptable. But then people go, no, no, no. They should have known. They should have known. I
Like
feel
voting
like
for Nixon.
I feel like that's going to be killing animals in the future. The fact that we, killing all these animals, livestock, for food now. I feel like in 50 years we're going to look back and can you believe that they just had farms full of live animals that they slaughtered? That's
I
so
think people
inhumane.
intuitively know that it's wrong. It's just that we're so accustomed to being able to have affordable meat available at any time that like the inertia of the situation hasn't gotten to the point where I think you're right that we're going to look at the way that we treat animals today in factory farms in much the same way that smoking was looked at 50 or 60 years ago versus today.
Yes, but smoking only harms yourself. Killing animals harms others. But also,
No,
you're right.
smoking harms others too.
We have a lot of inertia right now going towards the fact that for the reason that we're killing animals, and and ultimately that just comes from the fact that we are animals, and we're on this food chain, and we eat other animals. That's just
Yeah, but I don't think that that's a good analogy because it's not like we're out hunting these things down. It's
well, not anymore. But now we're able to mass produce them, line them up, and slaughter them. But also, in the same vein, and then we can talk about prostitutes. I promise you, we will get to prostitutes. One other thing, I used to not like milk. Now I happen to like a little milk in my coffee. I can't really stomach like a whole milk. It's a lot of kind of dairy flavor for me.
with
But
almond milk, dude.
I can do a glass of skim milk. Maybe not a full glass, maybe a little rocks glass, but I don't mind milk.
Switch to almond milk.
I would say I kind of like it. I don't like almond milk in my coffee. It makes the coffee taste funny. But the argument that a lot of people have is that it's not natural for us to be eating the milk of another animal. That's people make this argument.
I agree with that argument, by the way.
Okay, but that's like the same argument would go, well, it's not natural for a lion to be eating zebra liver, but they do. Like, how is that? That's just how that's just how the food chain works.
No, because one is you're eating the actual animal. The other is that you're using the animal to drink its milk. I think it's different enough that you can draw a distinction.
Sure, there is a distinction, but you can't call it unnatural. I think it has this. It's in the same vein, as far as I'm concerned. A lion eating a zebra's liver is, as far as I'm concerned, in the same vein as humans drinking milk. If anything, less severe.
I don't know. Yo, before we start off this conversation about prostitution, I want to throw this out to the chat. I want to see, do people in chat think that prostitution should be illegal or legal? I want to know where the chat falls on this one.
Okay, that's yeah. I would like the opinion, whether you're on TikTok,
and if you've got a reason why or why not, I'd like to hear it as well.
Or you're on Facebook, or you were on, where else are we?
Instagram,
yeah.
Instagram, TikTok, Facebook.
If you guys are watching in YouTube afterwards, I'd really like to know what you think.
And I'd like to address all the comments if we can.
Whether prostitution should be legal or illegal, or if you've ever engaged in prostitution, either end of it. And then
I want to hear about that.
I have another, and that goes for escorting as well, because we're going to talk about that. And then I have another question for you, and that is whether it's worse to buy sex or to sell sex. Because
all right, so Lisa says legal. So all right, first of all, what's your opinion? Legal or illegal?
All right, I got to rehash a story I heard actually in a podcast.
So just give me your answer first.
The jury's still out. I am coming down on the side of legalized, but my opinion, like it is in many aspects of complicated issues, is really evolving as I learn more and engage in discussion.
Towards which direction?
Towards legal. I think it should be.
Okay.
I think it should be legalized. But
Shahir Abba says illegal. I'd like to know why.
Well, a lot of the illegal arguments come down to the size of it's exploitatious to women.
Exploitative.
That's like exploitatious, right?
That except one of them is a word.
So there's a comment on TikTok. Where is George? George, unfortunately, had to part ways and go back to his normal life. He can't just be here and drink and party with us. Maybe he'll join us on live.
Jessica says legal because they're going to do it regardless, just like drugs. I think that's true to a large degree. Have you ever been to Amsterdam?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not.
So exploitation is a word and exploitative is a word. Exploitatious is not.
Damn.
Anyways, so I have been to Amsterdam. And so in Amsterdam, prostitution is completely legal and it's heavily regulated, where like if you are a sex worker in Amsterdam, like you will have a certificate showing like the date of like the last time that you were tested. And there's all sorts of legal rules for both how they can operate and their licensing, and also a lot of protections for them. So the question about exploitation I want to get back to, but the safety argument, I think, is if you have it legal and regulated the way they do in Amsterdam, then you're protecting not just the sex workers, but also the clients.
Well, on that note, you have illegal, right, where it's completely banned and you can go to jail, and then you have legal, and then you have regulated, and you also have decriminalized, which there's a difference in each of those. Right now, for the most part, I think in New York, prostitution is more or less decriminalized, which
still not legal, but they're not really going after it.
Exactly. And I don't think that's the best way deal with that.
Probably not.
I read basically that it's all ideology with no consideration type of reform, which to me really rung a bell in my head, for lack of a better way to put it. All ideology and no consideration type of reform. So, but sorry, I'll go ahead.
So, anyways, when I was in Amsterdam, and this will kind of get ahead of like the other question that you were asking, which is, have you ever purchased or sold sex? So before I went to Amsterdam, my mindset was
you had not purchased sex, and
I had never purchased sex before Amsterdam, and my mindset going into Amsterdam was I will never purchase sex. So I was in Amsterdam.
How much did you pay?
I didn't purchase any. However, after
you got the coupons from the hotel. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Like you collect enough of the 10% discounts. You talk to 10 different people that all have the same coupon. You bring in 10 of them, and the prostitute's not too happy, but she's got to honor the deal. No, I didn't actually purchase any services. I went to a sex show because I was like the friend that I was with. She's like, yeah, we should really go check this out, just because like I don't know, it's like sex worker week or whatever. So like all these places are opening up and like doing like these free shows. I'm like, you know what? All right, fine.
Sex worker week.
Yeah, dude, they even had like a statue. They had like an unveiling of a statue to like honor sex workers in Amsterdam and everything.
The thing is, when I hear that, and because of the kind of connotation that we have in the US around sex work, I think of like Pride Month or Pride Week, and I think like that must be the exact opposite, which is really a lousy way to look at it. But that's the connotation that comes with sex work in the US,
but like
and in many other parts of the world.
After seeing the system that they had there and everything, I was like, I'm still not going to purchase sex. Not my thing. But I could see why somebody would in this environment, because they make it as safe as they do.
Very regulated, which the comment from Shahira says it would increase child prostitution. But that may be by legalizing it or decriminalizing it. But with the heavy regulation, that would eliminate or help eliminate the child prostitution.
I would hope. And I like Lisa, prostitution punch card.
Buy 10 to 1.
Yeah, like frequent flyer miles.
Actually, you don't buy. You would be renting, I assume.
Well, you're purchasing a service.
You're purchasing a service. It's like renting.
Well, yeah, you usually pay by like the quarter hour. Like, I don't know. I don't need all that time.
All right. So sorry. I wanted you to exhaust your Amsterdam story before I keep interrupting you.
The thing that really struck me was like, so the red light district is in the middle of town, and it's not like this seedy area where it's like drugs and crime and everything. It's open air, and like you've got windows where there are women standing there, and then there's bars, there are restaurants, there's museums. Families will be walking around. It's just a normal thing for them.
Families?
Yeah. No,
Families?
It's like I promise you, I was there. Like, it's not like the families would be like, all right, Dad, we'll see you in 20 minutes. Like that didn't happen. But it was an area that was safe and welcoming to literally everybody. And the way it would work is like, if you're walking around and you saw a woman that you were interested in, like you would basically kind of like point to get her attention or whatever, and she would get to decide whether or not she was willing to accept you as a client. Like they always had the option to say no. So like you'd point.
Nice to hear. I feel like that's got to hurt a lot of feelings.
Well, yeah, I imagine that, but
well, it's like buying a car where like credit and income obviously are like a major aspect of when you're buying a car, but really it has to do with like looks and weight and cleanliness or perceived cleanliness. So,
but yeah, like you'd point and like, and then like they would, like if they were interested in taking your service or like taking your money or whatever, then like they'd point at like whatever door you needed to walk to. You'd get buzzed in, and I don't know what happens after this point because I never got there, but I would imagine that like security would probably frisk you to make sure that you don't have any weapons or anything else. And then they would point you to whatever room, and I don't know if you paid her directly, or if you paid like the security guards up front, but like you'd pay whatever the rate was. and then like there'd probably be like a private bedroom right below, like behind the window or whatever, and then you'd have whatever time you paid for, and things would happen.
And is there some type of monitoring in there? Like,
I would have to imagine that security is very tight, where there's probably got to be like a button or a switch that she can press at any time to have somebody come in if somebody gets violent or out of control.
mm,
So yeah. So I never purchased anything there. What I did think was one thing that really struck me was the tremendous variety in the windows. There were some women in the windows that I was like, I wouldn't for free. In fact, you would have to pay me. And actually, no, you couldn't pay me. And then there were other women in the windows that I was like, you could be a model. You are stunningly beautiful. Why are you doing this? And that's like my American mindset coming out. But there were some women that were drop dead gorgeous.
Interesting.
Now I don't know how the pricing works. Like if the women that were more attractive charge more. I again never got to that step.
I would imagine that to be the case.
You'd have to think.
I wonder who sets the prices.
So that's another good question. I don't know if it's done like individually where like each woman says like this is my hourly rate, or if like they work with like a particular brothel or whatever, like it's a building and they rent out the window, and then like the building just says like, all right, if you're with us, then it's $100 for 15 minutes or whatever it is. Oh,
Like salon style. Interesting.
perhaps. I have no clue.
I like that we do have some clueless speculation here. Obviously, there's some margin of just unknown because I've never been to Amsterdam, and you claim to have not partaken in
Why would I lie?
in the accounting aspect of the field. So but no, I'm not questioning at all. I believe you. But I wondered, Rosh made a good comment about how in Europe everything is less dramatic in terms of, well, he said in terms of body language, but I also think
Body image.
in terms of body image, I think that's in terms of many other things. He said family beaches in France are topless,
Yeah.
which I believe is probably, again, everything is less stigmatized over there.
Same thing in Spain. Like when I was on beaches in Spain, there were entire families that were just running around naked, like
But
kids, old people. It was just like everybody was naked on the beach.
that's very strange. We're very prudish here.
Yeah.
Prudent in the US. And I think a lot of people don't understand what the rest of the world really is like. And they try to make decisions based on what their environment is, not accounting for everybody else. And when you're making rules, you have to make rules for everybody.
Well,
and
remember, who was this country founded by?
yeah, well, think about the people that that came over on the Mayflower.
Right. Those are the people that founded this country.
They had the craziest rules and laws around sex and family status, and oftentimes would be found fucking goats and sheep, and then end up getting arrested for that shit. I don't know how you.
Yeah, they also arrested the goats, believe it or not.
Are you making that up?
No.
That's what.
I'll do some research if I need to, but like there's been cases where like not only is like the man who was having sex with the animal punished, but like there's cases where like the animal was also punished, which makes exactly as much sense as you think.
I wonder if that's where our beef industry started.
Lisa says, I'm not mature enough for a nude beach, and I know this. You know, like in Europe, like you don't have to be naked. Like when I was on the beach, like I went there a number of times to surf, and like I would walk in just like, you know, kind of like this get up with like beach shorts or whatever. But I was there during the winter, so you had to wear a wetsuit if you wanted to go for a swim. And it was kind of convenient because like, all right, I can just change into my wetsuit here. Nobody cares. But there were plenty of people that were clothed too. It's not like it was enforced. It's just you do what you want to do.
You must be naked.
Yeah. Like nobody batted an eye as to whether you were wearing clothes or not. It was just what you were doing.
Yeah. Well, I like a little mystery.
Well, if Rosh puts in parentheses, do you need to be mature to go to a nude beach? I would argue yes.
Although, never mind, I'm not going to make that comment. But again, I like a little mystery. Having some skimpy clothes on, at the very least, I'm kind of for that.
Well, here's the other thing about nude beaches is that most of the time when you go to a nude beach, the idea of like who's going to be naked at the beach does not match the reality of who's naked at the beach.
Well, that's my understanding of that. Yeah, exactly.
That's 100% true. The people that you would like to be naked at the beach aren't there.
They're not even there. They didn't show up. We like a little mystery too. That's our selling point. But that's my point. Is it's kind of a selling point. Like I'd like to do the unwrapping at home. I don't want to know what's in the. All right, on to the next. Let's see. Fuck.
Well, let's talk about the exploitation thing.
Well, I want to share with you a story I heard in the news because I was listening to a podcast last night, and I started to hear the news story on the radio earlier in the weekend. I missed it, caught it on a podcast, and then when I jumped off the train and jumped in the car, it was back on the radio. So there's a lot of people hearing this story, but it's basically about a girl who lived in Florida. She ran away. She went to somewhere, I think, in like the northwest of the country, and she went to a strip club to get a job. And when she interviewed at the strip club, she went dress shopping because she didn't know what to wear. She showed up to the strip club audition in a dress, and there were girls wearing like fishnet stockings and big kind of hooker heels. She felt very uncomfortable. Either way, she somehow got the job, which I imagine means she just took off the dress. She was qualified. And she became a stripper for a little while. A friend introduced her to the idea of escorting and introduced her to basically what would be a pimp. And she started escorting for this guy. The idea of escorting is you spend time with people. And for the most part, it's implied that you sleep with them. But that's not always the case. And really, the legal understanding of escorting is that you just get paid to spend time with someone. If you happen to sleep with them, that's your choice. But again, that's where the wires get crossed.
It's very much a gray area.
Yes, exactly. But starts escorting. The guy kind of tells her what it's about, and then guy comes in and sleeps with her, and kind of is like showing her the ropes a little bit. And on his way out, he says, he leaves, and he goes, "Whoa, what are you doing? You can never just let me leave. Somebody could try to come in after me and steal the money I just gave you. So you always got to see me out and lock the door behind you and wait for your pimp to come back." Come to find out, it was like a friend of the pimp's that he was just kind of stepping in to show her the ropes. So she starts being a prostitute for a little while. She's in it for like 7 years or so, and at this point, she's like,
"That's a long time."
It's a very long time. She's pretty tight with the pimp, and they like explore new cities. They obviously can't stay in one place for too long because I guess maybe the police catch on or something. They're using a lot of websites. Maybe back then Craigslist was a little more open.
Yeah, before they got rid of the back pages on Craigslist.
But there's also I think it's called Backpage or something, right? The other one.
I don't know, but maybe.
Yeah, but I think it's called Backpage. But ultimately, she's like planning the trips, and she's kind of high up, and the guy kind of lets her off the leash a little bit, but she doesn't really know how to get out. And she said that when she collects the money, she has to give all of it to the guy, and the guy basically just kind of pays to for whatever her needs are. But she's not banking any money. So she reads an article on one of their longer trips because she's got a lot of time to kill traveling between cities. And it's about a woman who was involved in sex trafficking and escaped. And the way that she describes sex trafficking basically created a better understanding of what she was actually doing. And she realized that she was being sex trafficked.
Okay.
And then shortly thereafter, she decided she wanted out, and she had a fully different 180-degree understanding of what she was doing. Realized she was being fully exploited, and she ended up getting her exit by she had $1,000 a day quota, and if she didn't make the quota through like online ads and stuff, she would have to go to bars and casino bars and hotel bars and try to pick up people there. And one night she wasn't making any money. She got a little drunk, she called her friend and said, "Hey, I'm going to go back to the room. I haven't made any money. He's probably going to beat me up. I'm going to keep you on the phone. What I want you to do is call 911, say that you were one of the hotel guests and you heard a disturbance." Either way, and that goes down. She gets beat up. Police show up. The guy gets taken away. She doesn't know where to go. She reached out to the woman who wrote the article, and that woman hooked her up with somewhere to stay for a little while. She ended up going back to Florida, and she couldn't get a job because she had some arrests on her record because she was basically a prostitute. Even though it was against her will, they were still on her record. She couldn't get a job at like Walmart, or literally she talked about like some really lousy jobs she applied for. She couldn't even get these jobs, even though she was a victim of sex trafficking, a victim, but she still had this record. So she ends up prostituting herself, starts to do pretty well, banking money, buys a house. Well, she buys a car, buys a house, puts herself in school. And then they change all these laws and basically eliminate all of the internet websites, and they really crack down on the internet.
So it made it hard for her to market.
Made it hard for her to market, but also there's a major safety aspect to these because a lot of the women that are in the circuit communicate with each other and they share tips for dangerous people or kind of ploys that are out, or dangerous places, things like that. So now she has to kind of do this one-off where she goes to bars and hotel bars and casino bars and picks up people there. But then it's just luck of the draw, which means typically a lot less luck. And it all falls apart and she ends up losing the house. Then she loses the car. And then she ends up dropping out of school because she doesn't have any money. It's really a pretty shitty story. But it's because the government she was obviously a prostitute, but the government made it less safe for her to do it. And
so that's where the regulation comes in.
And that's where the regulation comes in. And my thinking is that as much as you want to make it illegal, you're not going to eliminate it.
No. Same thing with drugs.
And that's why there's a big,
it's already been mentioned, but bears repeating.
Yeah. I mean, and that's where we are in the country with drugs right now. We're legalizing marijuana vastly across the United States, and lots of other countries where that's legal. But I think if something's going to happen, we need to have a stronger conversation, even if we don't like it for religious reasons or whatever. You have to understand that it's not just you that's making the decision; it's other people. And if someone is going to prostitute themselves,
how is that harming you?
And someone else is also going to pay for a prostitute, it may not be harming you. And if it's unregulated, then you have what Shahira said about there being potential child trafficking and things like that. It gets more dangerous when it's unregulated.
Well, it's the same thing with drugs.
Well, making it legal, sure, increases the likeliness that it's going to happen, but we're not even talking about regulation. That's, the regulation, the regulatory aspect of it is what makes it safer and ultimately better. The legalization of it doesn't alone do that. But then you have this ideology lawmaking versus consideration lawmaking.
Well, let me talk about my experience going into a dispensary in California. I don't partake in the pots, but I know a lot of people who do. And I've bought pot illegally before. And so buying pot illegally always feels sketchy because you're dealing with people. Sometimes you're dealing with people that you don't really know in areas that you might not be comfortable in. And you don't know what's going to happen because if you give them money, what's to stop them from saying, all right, cool, thanks for the money. I'm not giving you the drugs. And by the way, where's the rest of your money? Whereas so when I was in California the last time, they have legal weed and you can just walk into a store and buy it. So we go to this dispensary and they check our IDs and there's a cop standing right out front of the door and not doing anything. Once we processed our IDs and everything and we're allowed to go in, the cop's like, all right, man, be safe, have a good time.
And you were allowed to go in with an out-of-state ID.
Yeah. And then you walk through and it's a super clean store where everything's behind cases and you can ask employees and everything's regulated. So you can know exactly the strength of what you're buying. And all these different manners.
Yeah, you're not getting something that might be laced with something else, just like
Right.
you're not getting a prostitute, which might be laced with
Something else.
herpes at the very least. And, there's a whole
Right.
gamut there.
Right. So like it was an extremely safe thing to do. We walked in, got ID'd, made our purchase, walked out, and the cop wished us a good night. No problems. So I look at the way that Amsterdam has it set up, and it's very similar where it's a more sterile experience, but that's kind of what you need if you're doing that.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're picking somebody else up on a street and again, the zero regulation aspect of things is, I think, what really makes it dangerous. But what we didn't get from the comments, is whether people think it's better to buy sex or to sell sex, or what's worse, depending on your perspective on that.
Neither.
But I think a lot of people, well, ultimately, I think it would come down to neither. But a lot of people think of women who are selling sex, or maybe men who are selling sex. I really, in all of the reading that I did on this,
one market's a little bigger than the other.
Exactly. It's usually women selling sex / selling themselves. And that's where the exploitation aspect of it comes from. And I think with legalization and regulation, women would be able to do that on their own. And the black market, meaning the pimps and the people that are making it more dangerous for women, would just pretty much disappear, because the market would be flooded now with legal, regulated.
Yeah. Why would you roll the dice with an untested product with a potentially violent pimp when you can go to a safe environment with someone who has been tested for disease within the last couple weeks? And why would it's a no-brainer. It's the same thing like in California, where like you can buy weed in a safe store with a cop guarding the front wishing you a nice day, or you can go into an unknown situation and buy black market pot, which you don't know the strength of or the quality of or anything else. And maybe you pay a little bit more at the store, but you get so much more for it.
Yeah. Doria says, why not, as long as they pay taxes and follow regulations?
Well, that's what we're suggesting.
I'm curious how do you tax sex? I don't.
Well, it's you tax it just like any other labor. It's just you'd have first of all,
you'd be going to establishments though.
First of all, if you're a prostitute operating in the United States right now, unless you're in Nevada, where it's the only place that's legal in the United States, if you're operating as a black market prostitute right now, I can practically guarantee that the income that you're getting from your prostitution, you're not paying tax on. They're not declaring this, so they're not paying any tax on this. So if you have these women working in a brothel that's regulated, then their income's reported and they're paying income tax on it.
Yeah, exactly, because they're in a brothel. And some of the arguments that I read against the decriminalization of sex work, which I don't think is a great solution. I think that's kind of this idea, again, the ideology versus consideration approach, and decriminalizing it doesn't make it really any safer.
Nope.
At all. But they say that's really bad for the streets, because now you have all these people that the police are doing nothing for, because the police aren't going to arrest them, and they're in the streets, and it's just a dirtier, grungier, trashier street. Now you're selling in New York City drugs. People are just doing drugs in the street. I walked into the entrance of Port Authority today, and a guy wheeled his wheelchair in there to do something. I don't know what he's kind of hunched over. And then I start walking down the stairs. There's 4 guys working on the top of the escalator, and 2 steps down alongside the escalator is a guy smoking crack. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, how the fuck is this the world we live in right now? Like, this is insane.
Yeah.
And while I was the trains were all delayed. While I was waiting for the trains, we walked into a bar to grab a drink, and we had a ton of time to kill. And I was talking to the bartender. He's like, I told him we were killing time. He was like, oh, are you taking the train out? And he said, Jersey or Long Island. I said, Jersey, how about you? Are you in the city? He said, I'm in the Bronx. I said, oh, you take the train? You probably don't have delays like we do on New Jersey Transit. He goes, no, not anymore. I drive. I don't want to be walking to the train late at night. And I've been doing this for 25 years. And I just recently started driving because I've never seen the streets this bad. And it's not good out there. But the cops don't do anything. The cops don't do anything. So, but that's why the brothel idea is really the solution also.
That's how it works in Amsterdam, and they've got a great system.
Yeah, I don't think you'll have streetwalkers with
No,
credit card terminals that they're carrying around.
no. There's no women on the streets in Amsterdam. They're all behind windows in environments that are safe and secure.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. Speaking of laws, so this is actually what got me started thinking about prostitution today. Is I was thinking about I read that there was 90 plus shootings in Chicago over the 4th of July weekend, which was a very high number even for Chicago. And I started thinking about how we're seeing all this increase in gun violence. I saw a couple of videos on Instagram and Twitter of people being shot in New York City. And I'm just thinking about how the entire, for the most part, nation is pushing for people to have guns. And yet we had so much time over the last year where we're trying to defund the police and take guns out of the hands of policemen, which to me sounds back-ass words, but I think there's a pretty...
I think you're misrepresenting the argument.
In what way? Because what I see is a correlation between police having fewer guns, people having more guns, more lenient gun laws, and we're seeing more shootings.
I don't think that people are saying that the police shouldn't be carrying guns. I think that people are saying that we're asking police to deal with situations that are really outside the scope of their job.
In what
And
sense?
that maybe we shouldn't be asking police to intervene during mental health crises.
Well, yes.
Maybe we should be having somebody else, maybe a medical professional comes in and handles it. Maybe we need social workers dealing with some of these problems, not police.
But but you're asking the police again, the hammer and the nail,
right?
saying, you're giving the police the police are the police, and then you're asking them to solve this myriad of problems, or at least address the problem.
Right. So what's the tool that we give police?
Gun. Exactly.
Right. So when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Exactly. But my thinking is the answer isn't defund the police and take guns out of police hands. The answer is there's 1,000 other things that could be done to address the issue, not have the police try to address the issue.
Rosh makes a really good point, which I actually thought of myself on July 4th, which is if you're going to shoot somebody, when's the best time to do it? And the answer is during a fireworks show on July 4th. Because even in my neighborhood, we didn't all my neighbors were firing off fireworks. It was like an hour long, just random explosions all around the place. And I was like, if I ever wanted to shoot somebody, this would be the time to do it.
You actually thought that?
Oh yeah, I totally did. You can ask.
I believe you. So, well, speaking of fireworks, then on Monday morning, I log online and I see, I don't know, 80 different people posting videos of their stupid ass fireworks. And I just, I remember thinking like, I in the last few years, because I take pictures of everything for a little while, even back in the day of like early flip phones, I started taking pictures of fireworks. But for the last few years, I'm just like,
why would you do that?
Well, James, they were really special and beautiful fireworks. I needed to capture the.
Nobody wants to watch
other people's. Nobody wants to even rewatch the own videos of the fireworks.
Yeah, nobody wants to watch a video of the fireworks show that you watched, including you.
Exactly. And that was the point that I was thinking this morning. However, I did happen to catch some footage of a fireworks shop in Texas. I think it was in Texas that caught on fire. And I have to say that was spectacular.
That's different. That's not a fireworks show.
Oh, it was
Not planned.
It was one hell of a show. And I'm laughing, I'm joking. Obviously, if somebody lost a thumb or so, something like that, I feel very bad for them.
There's one video of a fireworks show that you should watch. I think it was like 9 years ago at like a San Diego Padres game. Because like all fireworks now are controlled by a computer program. So like all the fuses are lit up, are linked to a computer program, and it's timed to whatever. So like the computer will say like, all right, fire this one and then that one or whatever. So the computer malfunctioned and fired them all off at once.
What the hell?
So like the fireworks show that was supposed to last, 10 or 15 minutes
Let me see if I can get that.
lasted like 36 seconds, which, I can sympathize.
I don't know if I'm gonna. Oh no, I'm not gonna be able to find it. Are you sure it was the Padres?
Think so.
Oh no.
I'll see if I can find the
There's
link and I'll
too
give
many.
it to you.
Yeah, you have to send it to me. There's too many. They must do a lot of fireworks, I guess. But yeah, that was fun to watch. Fireworks were fun to watch. I didn't get a great line of sight of any fireworks, but there was definitely a lot of decent fireworks around me.
It was
And
San Diego.
Did you find out what it was? Oh, are
I'm
you trying
looking
to send
for
the
it. Just
link
give me
here?
a second.
It's very riveting to watch you surf the web. It was very riveting to watch George send text messages throughout the cast last Thursday. All right, let me see if I can. Is there a video on here?
Yeah.
All right, let me see what I got. I'm going to try to throw it on the camera. You may not be able to see it, but I'll let you. You'll certainly be able to listen to it here.
Yeah.
Hang on here.
But I have sympathy for them because
This looks like a mushroom cloud. Like this is just
something that's supposed to last for 15 or 20 minutes and it's over in 30 seconds. Been there.
Oh, and now it's just diffusing. And now it's just going. There's no light. Wow. And now there's just it was just a big cloud of smoke and a lot of confused people.
Yep.
I have to say that was a pretty impressive show. God, imagine the fucking heat that was coming. That's a shame. Something must have been severely damaged. Hopefully no one was
No, nothing.
damaged.
No, it was just like that. All the fireworks went off as intended, just not at the right time.
Well, I have to tell you that Texas fireworks shop that exploded was a bit more spectacular than that. It had a much slower start, and about as hot of a burn, I imagine, but it was pretty cool. All right, what else we got here? Because
Well,
should we talk more about guns? Should we talk more about prostitutes?
we haven't answered the question fully about. I've kind of answered. So the question is, who should feel worse about the transaction, the buyer or the seller in the case of prostitution? And my answer is neither. Like, it shouldn't be stigmatized. If that's something that you want to do and it's a choice that you're freely making, you're not being forced into it, then we shouldn't be shaming the people who are selling sex. And at the same time, we shouldn't be shaming the people who buy sex. Like, it's something that you're choosing to do.
I agree with you there. But why do you think people frown so much on prostitution?
Because we were founded by Puritans. And that's
So
the answer.
You think it's just conditioning?
Yeah.
And religion.
And just the general socialization and the way that this country treats sex versus other topics that are probably equally as taboo, but much more culturally accepted here. Think in the common comparison, which I think is valid, is look at the amount of violence that we have in movies and the amount of sex that we have in movies, and look at what movies get what ratings and for why. So you could have like tons of violence in a movie and it would still be PG-13, but you can't show a boob.
I think you can in PG-13 these days.
Maybe, I don't know. I haven't done the research, but the point is that like
But
sex
it's
is going to
slowly
get you an
changing.
R-rated movie a lot faster.
Yeah, a lot faster than violence. On that
And
note,
Europeans can't understand it. They're like, how is it that you can have this amount of violence and it's okay, but you can't show a boob?
I agree with you. So look, we're going to get cut off with the new software that we're using at the hour mark. So
Okay. Well, then let's tie this together.
I'm going to take this moment though to thank Rosh, who's feeding us your comments. Thank you guys for all the comments, and don't stop. Don't forget to go to YouTube and subscribe and comment there too.
Rosh is saying he thinks a boob is PGMA. I'm saying a full boob, like exposed.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
The only movies that I've seen boobs in have been rated R.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining. James, did you want to add something real quick to tie it together as we run out of time here?
Legalize it and regulate it.
All right. I mean, I'm pretty sure, like I said, that's where I was falling on this beforehand. I can't see any strong arguments.
I've got one last question for you, which I want you to address in the beginning of the next podcast. I want you to think this one over.
All right.
You're dating a girl. She's great. And you're thinking that you might want to marry her. And you find out that 10 years ago, for 2 years, she was an escort. Does that change your opinion as to whether or not you want to marry her today?
That's a good one. Well, we could even get into the transgender aspect of that, because it's not
whatever the case is. You understand the general point of the question.
Actually, but I don't think that's on the same vein. But
no, but you understand the general point of the question. I don't want you to answer it now. I want you to think about it for 2 days and get back to me.
All right, I'd love to talk about that. That's actually, I may throw that out in the discussion for this week. But on that note,
Rosh is saying it's a topic that should include all paths. I think that's good.
Well, that's why I threw it.
We'll start there.
Okay. All right. On that note, everybody, thank you for joining. Adios.
Cheers.
All right, homies, that was the end. Thank you for joining. I will see you guys next time. Please make a comment. Let me know what you thought, especially if you got this far in the episode. And if you have not already, please, for the love of God, subscribe to this podcast. Go to the audio platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and subscribe there too. Thank you, guys. I will see you next time.
I like PBR. I just got priced out of it.